and welcome to the Tao of Our Understanding Recovery Podcast. In this podcast, we discuss mystical works of literature and how they relate to recovery. We hope you enjoy today's podcast episode.
Talk to me.
What's that?
You been studying anything good? Or I know you've been on vacation and visiting family and all. Anything speaking to you lately? Any podcasts or books or study of any kind? This is impromptu. We don't rehearse
really,
what we're going to talk about. I mean, I'm just curious.
Yeah, nothing really new. Keep up with stuff I normally listen to. The Tao of Christ podcast, and those last few episodes have been pretty good.
Yeah, I've got a call.
Stuff,
he canceled on us. He said he wasn't feeling well, and then I heard him on the podcast talk about having some seasonal depression that he has. So I wanted to give him some time and then check back with him, let him know he's always welcome, when and if he wants to come on. So Marshall Davis.
Yeah.
Might be good to wait. I don't know. Would it be good to wait till after the election or do that before? I don't know if he'll be more tuned up before or after, because he's got some strong political views too. So
yeah, well, I don't. One day, maybe not today, but one day we should work up the courage to do a political episode.
I don't know if that's a good idea or not, because all that does is divide people, because people who have their mind made up seem to already have their mind made up. How do you want to approach it? What are you thinking?
Well, kind of that. You know what I mean? Like not who's right and wrong or who to pick on, like which political candidate to get, to pick, but like, just how people deal with it on a personal level, you know what I mean? Because I know for a lot of people, it's a real issue that, affects their peace of mind and all kinds of things. And it's, it just seems like, people have that, like, we don't talk about politics or religion, and as long as you can just ignore it, then everything's going to be okay, but I've had enough therapy to know that if you just keep stuffing that stuff down inside, eventually it comes out one way or another.
And there's a Republican Jesus and there's a Democrat Jesus,
This is true.
I used to date a girl that was a member of the local Democratic Party, and she was very active. And she believed doing the work of God was supporting the Democratic Party. And
yeah.
So I thought, wow. I said, and that's what Jimmy Carter thought. He thought he was doing the work of God, and I'm not going to, say yay, nay, whatever. I'm just, I respect that. And so I'm not going to criticize anyone's belief. I think what happens is we have to get above, no matter what we support or how we feel. I like to be driven by principle rather than personality, no matter what it is that we're talking about. So I back in the 90s, I ended up with some very strong principled beliefs with that. So we said we weren't talking about that today, didn't we? So I'll stop.
We did, yeah. We don't have to. But, I mean, a lot of the folks I grew up with were exactly the same way. Like a vote for a Republican was a vote for Jesus.
Yeah.
And that was why they did it. It wasn't just like, well, I agree with, particular issues or anything like that. It was just, this is the party Jesus votes for.
Yeah. It's white Jesus, white Republican Jesus, So yeah, that's, we need to put some thought into that, I think, before we actually dig into it deep. But I'd like to.
We don't have to just jump in, but it would be interesting to, to just be able to try to, try to look at it honestly on from a personal level, just how it affects people or whatever, and not just,
Why don't we do that
I don't
next
know.
week? Why don't we do that
You know what I'm
next week?
saying?
And I'll take some time and go through and see why I believe what I believe, and because I base what I believe government-wise on particular religious teachings and things, that I take as being valid. And I'm sure you may do the same thing. I don't know how you arrived at your views, but it'd be nice to have the conversation. I don't even know I don't even know how you vote. So, I mean, I don't even know. So it'll be an interesting conversation. I think we should do it without even disclosing how we vote. Just talk about why we vote the way we do, or why we feel the way we do about all of that, maybe.
Sure.
If that's okay with you.
We can give it a shot.
Okay. I did start a book that I'm reading a couple of pages a day on that I would not recommend.
Okay.
Unless you want to screw up your Christianity. I would not read this book.
But do I want to do that?
Stephen Mitchell, The Gospel According to Jesus. Yes, Stephen Mitchell that did the Tao Te Ching that we use a lot and other books, wisdom books. He did a book back in the 90s, I believe. He wrote a ton of stuff, and he published this in, let me look, 93. And what's interesting about this, and I was talking to my Christian friends about this morning, and it's something that Rob Bell talks about, and it's that we all have these foundational legs of our beliefs. And I think you may have even told me about this, Zach, about Rob Bell talking about this. Then I went and listened to it. I think it was you actually that brought this to my attention, that he talked about, what if those foundational legs of your belief were proven to be wrong?
Yeah.
Would you still have a belief?
Yeah.
And I presented that question to my Christian friends. I meet with them on Wednesdays, and we record this right after I get home from meeting with them. And we usually meet, we read through the New Testament a little bit at a time, talk about it, pray, and then go eat breakfast. And we do that every week. We just started back recently. Actually, I had one of our friends that died of COVID that was part of that group. But there's 4 of us that do that now, was 5. And I presented the question to them a while back, and one of them really latched on to that question. And he has brought it up several times. And he is an elder in the Church of God. I mean, he's like very, he even believes the leather's genuine, that kind of belief, that every word, everything is the inspired word of God, even though Paul was talking about the Old Testament, and that couldn't even be applied to a bunch of letters, but regardless.
Sure. If it's good enough for King James, it's good enough for me.
That's right. And he's thought about that a lot. And this idea that, let's say, what's fundamental to most Christian belief, at least here in the evangelical, Christian churches, the majority of Christian churches, there's a belief that Jesus was raised from the dead. There's a belief that Jesus was born of a virgin. And amongst other things, those are the 2 major beliefs. What if it was proven that Jesus was not born of a virgin? What if that was proven, that there was some way that it was proved that was false, that he was not born of a virgin? Now, I'm not saying he was or wasn't. I'm just saying, would that cause your Christian belief to totally be destroyed?
Yeah.
Or, or that he was not resurrected from the dead, that, that he lived with Mary Magdalene and, had children, and through DNA, we proved this was one of the children of Jesus, blah, blah, blah. Anything that you could come up with, and there are a lot of beliefs out there, a lot of things, they believe, there's one belief that Jesus's father was a Roman soldier that impregnated Mary. And then there's another belief that Jesus did not die in the crucifixion, and that he went to live in somewhere in Khmer, in one of the countries over there near Mongolia, over in that area. And they even have a shrine to him, and where he came back and lived there the rest of his life as a teacher. So all kinds of things like that people have different beliefs on. So there's a lot of beliefs different from what our narrow belief that we were all raised with. So what if those things is proven to be wrong, and that's something that you based your beliefs on? Would you still have a belief, or would you turn your back on all belief?
Yeah. Does the thing that you believe hold meaning outside of what proof you have for it?
Yes. And where we went to with that was, is your belief based on your experience with your higher power, your experience with God, or is your belief based on some book or something you've been told that you're supposed to believe?
Yeah.
That's the difference, I think.
Yeah, I think there's some real value in, examining just what your direct personal experience is.
And my suggestion and my experience has been that if your experience doesn't back up what you've been told, maybe you need to reevaluate what you've been told and what you put your belief in. I definitely had to do that when I came into recovery. I saw people that were definitely touching something greater than them that was helping them with their alcoholism, that did not believe what I believed, and in my opinion did not qualify to have God do anything for them. And if they were to have died at the moment, I would have thought they would have gone to hell.
Yeah.
But yet I saw something that worked, and what I had didn't work. So I had to really soul search what I believed. Not to say what I believed was incorrect. It was right for me in the time. That's the thing. All these beliefs, I think, bring us along this path, and they always evolve. My beliefs have evolved so much over the last 10, 12 years. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
But my beliefs now are based on experience, not on what I'm told I'm supposed to believe.
Yeah. I think there's definitely something to that for sure.
One of the Tao verses say that those that know do not debate, and those that debate do not know. And I've quit debating. I think another interpretation.
That's so true. It hurts.
Yeah. Another interpretation of that is those that know how to love do not debate, and those that have not learned to love yet are the ones that are debating. The ones that debate have not learned to love yet, is how it's said. So, and I think that's really it. I don't have anything to prove. I don't have any, there's no reason to debate. I have nothing to prove to anyone. I have experience that works for me, and if it doesn't work for you, okay, it doesn't have to. You don't have to believe I'm right or believe I'm wrong. There's nothing to prove. There's no debate necessary.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting.
Stephen Mitchell in this book, though, he goes into all those different things. And if you have a traditional Christian belief, do not read this unless you want to be challenged, because it will challenge traditional Christian beliefs. But I would, if that's something you like or you want to look at that, I would suggest it. It's Stephen Mitchell, The Gospel According to Jesus.
Well, I like the other stuff from him I've read, so I may check it out for sure.
He's done some very good books. He'll actually, I saw an interview with him. He studied Zen meditations, and I'm going to try your video again.
Yeah,
Or I
I'll try it.
asked you to start it. I'm having difficulty interacting without seeing you.
I
He
understand.
he would do he would study a language so that he could write a book from that language.
Right.
And he meditated, if I understood him correctly, for 8 years, like all the time, with 2 teachers. Meditated for 8 years. They said, do you meditate? He says, I stopped in 1980 meditating. I said, what? He said, yeah, I meditated for 8 years. And now he says, I'll do a tune-up every now and then, I think he said 100-day, 18-hour a day for 100 days to get tuned up. If he starts, I guess, losing the connection kind of thing. So anyway, he's a pretty enlightened fellow. So I like reading what he has to say. Yeah. But I would suggest looking at that and some of his other readings. He just did a book on Joseph that's supposed to be really good.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check it out. We can get on to the Thomas stuff here if you want. But to quickly, we're talking about the debating thing, and it's just interesting you bring that up in terms of obviously there was a, big political debate the last, week or so. And if you think about that in terms of what people are debating about, you know what I mean? Like if you go back to probably when you were a kid, when I was a kid, the big debates that I heard about were people arguing about religion. You know what I mean? They were constantly comparing this religion to that religion, and do you have it right or do we have it right, and that whole thing. Now I feel like you don't even see that anymore. The primary debate you hear is the political debate.
Yeah, I'm not in those religious circles now, so I don't hear a lot of. I will hear. Now, I see this in AA. I see some guys that like to debate different things in AA, and I just get out of those. I don't even get in those conversations. Like, are we recovered or are we recovering? Who cares? That's that kind of stuff. I kind of give the same attitude toward the religious stuff. I don't, it does happen though. I mean, it is, but it's the same people that want to debate religion will debate AA, will debate politics, all those things. I wonder why people, I guess it is back to not knowing.
Ego. It's all ego.
Ego, fear, that idea that, you must, if you don't agree with me, you must agree with me because I'm right. I don't know. It's sick, whatever it is. It is ego. You're right. It's just ego.
I believe something, and I need you to believe what I believe to confirm that I'm real, that I'm right, that I'm valid, that I have a right to be here, to be in the world. It's. I mean, it sounds silly, but I think isn't
it good to be
what happens.
That though? I mean, it is such a freedom not to have to be above that, to not have to debate anymore about what you believe or have your personal value based on what someone else thinks about you, or that they have to agree with what you think. It's just,
I would, yeah, I don't know. I would like to say I know exactly what that feels like, but I'd be lying if I said there weren't times that I still, held on to some of that.
Verse 81 in the Tao Te Ching, this is an interpretation of this verse. It says, those who love do not need to debate. Those who need to debate have not yet learned how to love.
Hmm. Yeah.
You do not learn
And that's true.
love. Yeah. You do not learn to love from a book. You learn to love by loving. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's really true. It goes back to love. It goes back to, and if God is love, the action of love, then, your opinion's just as valid as mine. It's no less valid. And there's nothing for me to convince you of.
Yeah. I wouldn't change you even if I could.
Oh man, that's hard. I was talking to a sponsee about that yesterday. He was having difficulty accepting something, and I said, why don't you just use the affirmation, I would not change this person, and it was a family member, even if I could, like with some long-standing resentment about this family member. And I said, why don't you just say you would not change that person even if you could? Maybe you even thank God for this person being like they are. That's taking it even further. I'd never thought about that, until right now. I need to write that down so I can text him that. He'll love that.
Well,
I didn't say who it was. It's his mother. He's having a hard time with resentments, long time stuff. Thank God for her being like she is. Man, that is hard. But doesn't that give
yeah, well,
freedom, though?
That gets back to some of that. Let's tie it back to basic meditation. Your discomfort is your teacher. Or the whole, throw it back in the political thing. Donald Trump, the Zen master.
Yeah.
If there's something that's making you uncomfortable, then that's your teacher.
Is that not the reason you would debate? Is because you're uncomfortable? For the most part. I never debated because I agreed. I debated because I disagreed.
Yeah.
If there's no disagreement, there would be no debate.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I don't know what the right answer is, but I know you're wrong.
That's it. You want to read some of this Gospel of Thomas?
I think we're on number 5. Is that right? What you have here?
Yeah, we're on number 5. Yeshua said, this is Yeshua's Jesus. We're reading the Gospel of Thomas from the Nag Hammadi. And I can put a link, I think, in the episode notes of where you can download this. Yeshua said, know what is in front of your face, and what is hidden from you will be disclosed. There is nothing hidden that will not be revealed. And another translation of that could be, there's nothing buried that will not be raised or restored. Know what is in front of your face, and what is hidden from you will be disclosed. Nothing hidden that will not be revealed. His students asked him and said to him, do you want us to fast? How should we pray? How should we pray? Should we give to charity? What diet should we observe? Just the basic questions that any student would ask their master. And he answers these questions down further, but Jesus said, do not lie and do not do what you hate. And the note with this is it's the negative formulation of the golden rule. Like, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, is how that's interpreted.
That makes sense.
Yeah. all things are disclosed before heaven, and there is nothing hidden that will not be revealed, and nothing covered that will not remain undisclosed. Sounds like they repeat there. Did you have something?
I was just thinking about it. I think, okay, so do not lie, do not do what you hate. Not negative like bad, but like the inverse way of looking at the golden rule, I guess. So if you put that back, sorry, it's on a different page there. So go back to verse 5. Know what is in front of your face. So I think that ties in really closely with what we're talking about as far as like the your own, like knowing your own personal experience. You know what I mean? Like being able to look at yourself, honestly or whatever. Knowing what is in front of your face. Like what do you see? Like what, you have all of these takes and opinions on, politics, religion, recovery, all of these things that you have strongly held opinions on, based on whatever you want to base it on. But if you can't look at it and hold it up in your own life, like how's this working for you? How is this,
Part of that's being in the moment, right?
So knowing, yeah. I just think that concept. So the two thoughts I'm trying to tie together are like this. On the one hand, this idea of, the way you would observe thoughts and meditate, like knowing your own experience on a personal, intimate level, and then tying that to this idea of the golden rule, of do unto others as you would have them do unto you, is the way you would normally hear it, right? Like this way of saying it, the do not lie, do not do what you hate, that it feels like the feeling puts more impetus back on you, the person, you as an individual, whereas the golden rule usually gets thrown out as this do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Yeah, you almost always hear it as, even though it says do unto others, it's the thing that you're supposed to do, but people usually use it as a way to tell people what they should be doing,
Yeah, it's what that does is it takes the spotlight off of you and puts it on them, when this is putting the spotlight on you.
Yeah,
right? It's turning the light around.
Absolutely, and that's the turning the light around. Know what is in front of your face. That's the same thing.
Yeah.
So do that. Know what's in front of your face, and then don't do what you hate. So the thing that it is that you hate, first of all, know yourself. Like know the turning the light around. Know what's in front of your face. Know that the thing that the stuff that crawls under your skin, the stuff that pisses you off that other people do, all of the stuff, know what it is, know what that experience is, and not just they said something I don't like. But again, going back to the discomfort is your teacher. When you become uncomfortable, dig down to the bottom of that and find out what that is. Know what it is. Know what's in front of your face. And then don't do that thing. The thing that you hate, don't do it to other people.
You probably, the lying leads to doing what you don't hate. There's a link there. Do not lie and do not do what you hate. When we're learning this way of life, a lot of times the way my character defects pop up, I learn to do the opposite of what I want to do.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not that hate in the way I would think about hate, but not to do the things the negative things, the things full of hate. Don't do a job you hate. Not that kind of hate,
Right.
that's the first thing I thought of. Well, I learn in business to the things I don't want to do, the things I hate to do, that I hire someone to do, and I do the things I want to do. Oh, that's saying that. So that doesn't make sense, So it's saying do not do what you hate in a different way than that. So I automatically go to that.
Yeah, well, so the way that it says it is do not do what you hate. It's implied in the statement is that you have to know what it is that you hate.
Yeah.
So it's not just like, I feel most of the time, myself included, it's so easy to be reactive and just, I hate something and that's the way it is. And so you start with the feeling of, I hate this, and then, and then decide your opinion around that, but you don't even, well, most of the time it feels like we don't even know what it is that we hate. We just have this feeling of hate come up, and then all of a sudden that's the way it is.
Maybe could it be that not doing the things you hate would be the things that, like if there's behavior that you detest in yourself, don't do that detestable behavior.
Yeah. Sure.
Like, I don't like it when I behave this way. Oh, let's go back to the driving. Okay. Something small. I hate it when I run up on someone's ass and act like a butt on the road. Okay. I hate that behavior, so I should not do what I hate. Could that be
right?
The kind of hate it's talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's totally different than that phrase, do not do what you hate, threw me off. I could not get past that. Okay. That's making more sense to me now.
I also like how to just, pull in a little bit more of the context here around it. It's disciples are asking him, what should we do? Should we give to charity? What diet should we have? Essentially saying, like, what's our set of rules? Give us the rules to follow. So it's just that classic example of, disciples being like, we need all the rules to follow. And Jesus being like, you don't need as many rules as you think you need. It can be much simpler.
This, and we did not plan this, but this ties perfectly back in to the foundation discussion when we first started about the Rob Bell, the foundation of what you believe, because that's what they're asking for. We need the legs. We need to know what to base. We need the dogma.
Yeah.
Isn't that what they're asking? They're asking for dogma. They're asking for rules.
Yeah. I need to, and well, so think about why you would ask that. Why would you need that? I need to prove to somebody else that I'm following the way.
I need to be able
what Jesus
debate.
Is saying. Yeah.
I need to debate.
What Jesus is saying. Yeah, exactly. And so here you have Jesus saying, I want you to look at your own personal experience and use that.
Yeah. Because remember what he said before this in the first 4 verses, talking about seeking and finding and our awareness, the whole idea. He gave them the solution there. And then now they're saying, no, we need rules. What do we do about this and this? And he's already told them before that. He told them how to behave. First thing he said in this gospel was, if you discover what these things mean, you'll not taste death. And he gives them the process to figure this out. And the kingdom of God's inside you. It's not outside of you. And that whole simple teaching about where the kingdom was and what it was. And they're saying, Okay, that's good, but we need our rules. We need to know, do we do this or this? And he's already, if they would have realized what he told them, he gave them everything they needed, and they just didn't hear it. Nothing hidden that will not be revealed. So it said twice. What's hidden will be disclosed in 5 and in 6. The same phrase. There's nothing hidden that will not be revealed. There's nothing covered that will not remain undisclosed. All things are disclosed. And I do not feel like that a lot of times. I feel like I'm just partially seeing that that it's not all disclosed. I never feel like it's all disclosed. Do you?
Yeah. No, certainly not. I sort of live with this constant feeling of there's something I'm missing in the back of my head.
Yeah. I mean, that's diminishing, but it's still there. It's not, I can't say all things are disclosed in my life. I think that's part of what enlightenment is, that when you learn to live in the moment, you realize that it's all right there and that all these other things that we're grasping for are irrelevant. I think it's part of that, but I'm not there yet. I'm closer, but I'm not there. It's good for me to publicly say that.
Sure. So then the question becomes, how does that tie in with verse 7, where you get eaten by a lion?
I did a little reading on that before. Yeshua said, blessings.
That's good.
Do what?
That's good, because it kind of threw me off.
Yeshua said, blessings on the lion if a human eats it, making the lion human. Foul is the human if the lion eats it, making the lion human. This obscure saying seems to appeal to the lion as a symbol of all that is passionate and essential. The passions may either be consumed by a person or consume a person. So he's saying that, I think he's saying that the lion would be self or your passions. So if you consume your passions, okay, but if your passions consume you, then it's a problem. Maybe back to the lying and doing the things you hate. Somehow, if those things consume you, if self, ego that we were talking about consumes you, then it's a problem. But if you consume the ego, then it's not a problem. I don't know. That's the best I've got.
You know what just occurred to me? It makes me think about that verse you've probably heard yelled at you 100 times, 1,000 times or more from the pulpit, about the devil walking around like a roaring lion, seeking who he can devour.
Yeah.
This is
that would mean the same thing, wouldn't it?
It puts an interesting take on it.
Yeah, but that would be the same as, like, if you're thinking of ego, because
yeah,
a lot of times ego is equated with devil. It has nothing to do with the devil. It's your ego, or whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to debate it. Yeah, that's.
But yeah, like you can,
I hear that quoted on Wednesday mornings some, and I'll occasionally say, okay, guys, just because I'm not saying something does not mean I approve or agree with what you're saying. I'm just not going to argue with you guys.
Yeah.
I want to give my, my disclaimer. I said, because I'm just not commenting doesn't mean that I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, the devil is blamed for so much that may just be self. Who knows?
Yeah. So there obviously it's some kind of analogy,
Sure.
the lion and the devil, and whatnot. So if the blessings on the line, I was just thinking about, like, what if you read that? So in the Bible verse, that the devil is, it doesn't say he is a lion. He says it's like a lion. You can eat the lion, but the lion can't eat you.
Blessings on the lion if the human eats it. So if you consume the lion, then it's okay. But having the lion consume you is a problem.
Yeah.
That's basically it. Right?
Yeah. I just think it's interesting because it's, if you're being eaten, obviously it's foul to you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all from this verse, it's also foul to the lion. Like, if you're being eaten by the lion, you're a foul taste. It's not actually getting what it wants.
Ah, okay. Similar to the ego. If the ego was as a lion, it's always that way. Right? The ego, you give the ego what the ego wants, and it always wants more, and it never pacifies it. I can't eat my pint of chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream today and not want another one tomorrow. If I used to, when I had my ego feared losing money, that I wouldn't have money to pay my bills, I'd hustle and get money in the bank. And then once I had money in the bank, then I would be afraid I would lose it. So it just shifted gears. It was never happy.
Yeah. It's never what the devil ego lion wants. It's always what it thinks it wants.
We can't give it what it really wants. It's never satisfied. It always wants more. Always. Hey, let's stop right there because of your internet issues, if we can.
Yeah, that's probably a good place.
And we'll take it from there at verse 8 the next time we get together. All right, my friend. Well, anything else before we go?
I can't think of it.
Have you a good day, and we'll see you soon.
Hello, this is Buddy C. I wanted to make you aware of several recovery-related resources that I've posted in the episode description. These resources include a list of recovery podcasts, a free sober meditation app, daily recovery email, shared Google recovery calendars. Hope you put some of these resources to use and have a great week.
Thank you for listening to the Tao of Our Understanding Recovery Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends in recovery.